This week's episode is sponsored by Helio Gas Detection. Hey everyone, this is Letty for this Metal Cell podcast. I'm here with Luca, Aaron and Mark from Tide7. Guys, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Good.
I'm good. I'm enjoying the sunny weather, repping Cavalera today around Little, it was great.
Class. Yeah, it's been lovely out the last couple of days, and I was sick throughout most of it.
I know a lot of my friends aren't happy as well. They've got a lot of hay fever and they're like, oh, hate the sun.
Oh yeah.
Hate it when it comes out.
Somehow that hasn't hit me yet this year. It always does, but for some reason I haven't got it yet. Give it time though, it'll hit me. It's just taking a little longer.
Touch wood, you don't get it. So, to the listeners of the
Exactly.
podcast who maybe haven't heard of you guys before, could you introduce yourself and your role in the band?
Okay, so I'm Aaron. I'm the bassist slash main loud, jumpy man that tries to get aggressive with the crowd.
I'm Luca. I'm the guitar player and composer of the band, I guess. So that's my role.
And I'm Mark. I'm the vocalist, goblin, whatever. There are many names.
Excellent. So, how did the band start?
Well,
So
it started
yeah.
uh, from Jack, which is not here, but it's always here with us. Uh,
In our
he's
hearts.
the yeah, yeah.
In spirit, in spirit.
He's our drummer, and as soon as he arrived in Ireland, I guess after a couple of months, he started to think to create a band. And yeah, then he met me, and we started creating some tunes. And yeah, then it was time to find a bass player and a vocalist. So we found these two guys, and the formation was complete. We didn't have too many changes in the formation, so what you see is the original formation, the original members of Tide7.
The OGs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
you guys actually perform at one of the Rage Metal nights. I was really, really, stoked to see ye. And if I believe so, me and Mark, we met at Chelsea Grin.
Yeah, at Chelsea Grin, and briefly at Spirit Box as well.
We just kept bumping into each other and then, went to that Rage Metal night. Who do I see? Mark.
Finally, with something to show.
And the 20th of April, you guys played The Siege. How was that experience?
Fantastic.
Do you know, we'd had some pretty good gigs up until then, but just the amount of people that came to see us, how crazy they were going, the reaction we got from it as well. It was by far and away, it's probably been the best gig we've had so far. So it's
Yeah.
now we can see that we can hit that kind of standard, performing and interacting with the crowd. So we want to take that and run from there.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All of that.
I wasn't there at The Siege, unfortunately, but I saw comments and stuff, and you guys got a pretty savage reception.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like Aaron said, just the amount of people in the crowd, and they were all going nuts, and I was just like, it wasn't even intimidating. It just started to fuel my adrenaline more, and I was like, okay, we're going all out. Yeah, insane, absolutely insane.
And were you at the Casbah upstairs or main room?
Casbah,
Yeah.
I love that little venue. It's great.
so good.
Yeah.
So good. And, did you guys get a chance to catch any of the other bands?
Yeah, I caught a few throughout the day. Um, Terrace, I managed to catch their class as always. We played it with them before in Cork, and always cool to see. Horrenda as well were the headliner, not well, headliner's last band on.
Yeah, they closed the night if I remember so.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
Yeah, and I
And
believe myself, Jack, and Luke, we all caught Levain. Kind
Levine,
of,
yeah.
it was probably
oh yeah,
the last bands that we were able to see before we ended up having to drive off. And I think as well, I stopped by. I live with members of the band Spit from down here, so I got to listen to their wacky stuff. Although tend to hear the wacky stuff they're coming up with here, and it's not getting any more normal. So
yeah,
With a band name like Spit, I was gonna say like, what do you kind of expect?
well, recently they've started going into like heavy electronic stuff with like new metal, so I wasn't expecting that out of them either. But we ball.
And Luca,
lymphedema as well. They were on. He was on right before us.
Yeah,
Yes. That I don't know if I watched him so much as I experienced that because that was my first time getting to watch Garrod live, and I don't think I was fully prepared for what I was about to watch.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
It
even
was
crazier live.
it's exactly an experience. So, yeah.
and
For
Luca,
sure.
who did you catch? Did you catch anyone else or?
Well, pretty much the same bands as Aaron. We were together, so Levine, Lymphedema, and Spit. So it was really, really good.
It was a really cool lineup of was it Inhuman Nature, who I got to interview on the Smashing Skulls. They were one of the headliners,
Yeah, yeah, they were.
and they were like super happy to be on the Siege and like couldn't wait to play.
Yeah, they're from the UK, aren't they?
They are, and they came
Yeah.
over. Was it last year with Crowbar?
Yes, yeah, now I remember.
Yes, so
Yeah,
that was
that
them. And
was yeah, I remember that gig actually. That was great.
was you at the show?
Yeah.
Nice. And your debut EP, Rinse and Repeat, was released the 28th of March. How was the recording experience for that?
Well, it was
Interesting.
basically how much can we annoy Luke because a lot of the like recording was done in his house or maybe in for some stuff in the we have a kind of shipping container that we rehearse out of and stuff like that. So it's more him looking at us, kind of going, "Come on, we're going to repeat this until you get it right. Keep going," and just then we'd be able to send that off to his friend Para over in Italy, who'd be able to do the mixing and mastering and getting us sounding all nice and pretty. Or actually, wait, pretty's probably not the right word to use considering it's Tide7, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And we're
it's
essentially
like as you said, it mostly takes place in Luke's house.
yeah,
So yeah.
homemade DIY.
Yeah.
Aaron, you make it sound like Luke is the Kubrick of the musical world. Do it again.
Do you know what? When you write stuff like Luke does, you hold yourself to a certain standard. And to be fair, it's one that we all want to reach anyway. So we do appreciate it. Sometimes it takes a couple of goes, sometimes you get it in one. It's the joys of a recording process, really. But we got there in the end, and the product that we got coming out of it was fantastic. So we've all been delighted with the response for that as well. And we've got a few bits and pieces lying around to focus on now going into the future. So it's all up and up from here.
It really is
Yeah.
an awesome EP. I listened to it earlier and I was like absolutely ripped. So well done, guys.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
No worries. Do you have a favorite song you like to perform live off of it?
Berman.
Yeah, Vermin. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna say hang from a rope.
Hank from
that's
Rope has my favorite breakdown in the EP,
Yeah.
but Vermin is the one that you can be really stressed out before you play it. You play it and then you're just absolutely fine afterwards. You've just gotten all of that out of your system.
It's a
Yeah.
stress ball in a song.
Yeah. Like
Exactly.
I love Vermin. I love playing it, but it is very fucking just go, 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 go. Like, hang from a rope has a couple of breaks in between where I'm like, I can chill, not chill, but like, pull back a little bit here, catch your breath, go back into it, catch your breath again, continue.
you wrote the lyrics,
Yeah, I
so
know. That's one of the things I've been saying. I'm like, like you said, Aaron, like we held ourselves to a certain standard, and then I was writing this, I was like, this would be so sick, and then I was like, patterning it all out in my head the way I had written it, and then I was just like, shit, now I have to perform it. I mean, no one's thrown a bottle at me yet, so
I mean, Mark, you are the lead singer. I know you can do it.
appreciate that. Yeah,
Challenge,
my lead singer
challenge,
tour here.
challenge for the other guys. Write the most complicated lyrics, like big words, everything, for I get them to rhyme, and then Mark has to sing them.
And
Well,
Mark's done a good job on the lyric aspect of things. I don't think we'd want to interfere with his process. So he can
yeah,
do that to himself. It's self-sabotage.
Yeah.
yeah. I was
If
writing
it-
lyrics for my previous band, and the singer ended up hating me. So because
Oh,
it was too complex to fit the lyrics in what I was writing as a song. So I'll leave the job to Mark. He's doing fantastic. So no
Yeah.
complaints.
I
Yeah,
know
just
how
bit.
you feel because I'm a drummer and I've tried to write lyrics for like projects I've been part of and they've just gone, these are big run-on sentences, like none of this flows.
Yeah, it's tough, like especially normally what would happen is like the process of getting stuff recorded be like Luke would make it, he'd get the idea, he'd play it, get the drums, get the whole instrumental for it ready essentially. And then he'll show it to us and I'll take that instrumental for a while, listen to it a good bit and be like, what can I put here? Where can I like, where can I go 90 miles an hour and where should I kind of hold back a little bit and just it's usually like instrumental first and then vocals after.
Cool. And do you guys have a favorite memory from it? You can all give an answer each.
For the recording
Yes.
process. I think always talking about Vermin, when we were recording the vocals for Vermin, there's a part where Mark is doing a goblin scream or goblin laugh at the same time. And we were recording and I heard this screaming and laughing stuff and say, he fucked up. I turned around and he was like, that was sick. Okay, so I thought it was a mistake and it ended up being the actual take. So top, top memory for me.
Yeah, fucking, jeez, there's a few to choose from. Like, even between, playing the gigs, coming for me coming down to record and all that kind of stuff. Like, even just the hanging out parts afterwards. It's always just mad crack. But I suppose specifically, um, I'd have to say, I mean, maybe C just too easy of an answer because like I'm still kind of just fresh off of it. But it would have to be one of our gigs for sure.
Do you have one in particular or just
Um,
all the gigs?
Mostly just all of them, but I really enjoyed the one in Dublin. Yeah, it was the one where like it was the first one that most people I know weren't able to like make it because it was in Dublin. So it was like I'm playing to a whole bar like one or two people that I know from around. It was like a new crowd to me to play for, and I was just like, okay, we're spreading out now a little bit. As far as an up and coming band is spreading.
Think for me, like recording wise, there were a few times in songs like maybe Hang from a Rope or Suffer in Silence where I got to try my best to be a bassist rather than a second guitarist in an eight string band kind of thing. Trying to work with Luke to come up with stuff that kind of varies a bit from what he's doing and stuff. So like that aspect I find quite fun. Gig wise, I know Siege is the most recent, but specifically watching Wolfie from Pralium basically crowd surf all the way down the entirety of Caspa, and then I'd be like, "That's hilarious." Keep playing the song, and then look up, and he's coming back to me. I'm like, "Where? How?"
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wolfie is a legend. He's at like almost every gig that I go to.
Yeah, Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. He's yeah, and his band are sick as well, Prelium. There, I've seen him a few times now.
I only discovered recently that he's in a band, so I definitely have to check him out.
Yeah, Jesus, sorry. I got so hyped when I first like it was only recently before that I was chatting to him. And then I met him like about a week later. He was like, I'm heading to band practice. I was like, you're in a band? I was like, yes, go on. Yeah, and they're doing pretty well for themselves so far, you know. We're all kind of we're all in it together and
Networking, you love to see it.
exactly.
Excellent. And you can all give an answer for this one as well. If you could collaborate with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be?
Okay. Um I would love to like outside of metal or maybe with like bits of metal influenced, but I would love to collaborate with Lindsay from Exploring Birdsong and Espera. I don't know if you know who that is, but that
I
she's
thought it
fucking
was, I don't
she's
know her.
fantastic. Which?
I don't know her, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're grand. Yeah, no, her band Exploring Birdsong, they played in Limerick, probably I think Dublin as well. Uh, about a year and a half ago. I had no idea who they were before I went in, and they were opening for Catatonia. So no idea who they were when I went in. I walked out of their set being like, I think I have a new favorite band.
It's the best
Yeah.
feeling in the world when you see an opening band like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's one person I'd love to collaborate with.
Awesome.
I think mine just might scare Mark a little bit, but like Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel, just being like an OG of like deathcore and someone that I've been listening to since I was a teenager, and like they've always been around in recent years, but they kind of took a step away from like the very deathcore stuff and have come back in a big way with the new album recently. Is like having that on breakdowns that we write would be absolutely phenomenal. A long, long ways away from anything like that happening, but it would be funny as fuck. Excuse the language.
I think they balance melody and like the quickness and brutality of deathcore very, very well.
Mm.
They
Like
do,
I
especially some of the more recent albums. They've been able to blend that quite well, like Black Bear, and like they have a lot of very groovy elements as well, which I quite like. Because don't get me wrong, I love the blast beats and all this stuff, but I do want to be able to bang my head at something that isn't 200 BPM as well. So
Yeah, no, that's true. I got into them just after can't think of the not the yeah, the Saw is the Law. That's the name of the album, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
yes, and I think
Yeah.
Our Endless War.
Or Endless yeah, it's got the Saw is the Law on it. I got
Yeah, yeah.
into them just after that and followed them very, very closely ever since.
Yeah, that's a great album. Mm.
And Luca, who would you
Artist.
collaborate with?
I'd say Josh Travis from Emure, the guitarist from Emure, because I it's a huge inspiration for me, and I would love to cooperate with him and write some brutal, weird mathcore stuff. So that would be lovely.
Have you ever seen that video of the lead singer of Amira getting electrocuted?
Yeah, in Russia. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not.
He literally just drops.
Yeah.
that would tend to happen to people with electricity. All right,
Yeah,
God bless them. I can't. Is it Frankie? I
yeah.
Frankie
Yeah, Frankie Palmieri.
Palmieri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there. Yeah, that's the
He
one.
bought a shirt off the road recently.
Did he actually?
Like a
Really?
Yeah,
lymphedema
lymphedema.
t-shirt.
Yeah, he bought a lymphedema shirt there not too long back.
Hilarious.
Yeah, girl was chatting to me about it. He was like, "Man."
I have instant respect for him now.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Do you have any favorite album releases of 2025 so far? Again, you can all give an answer each.
Um, album.
I'll go with the with the new one from Architects, actually, because they are back, and that surprised me a lot. And it's wow, it's really, really nice.
For me, I think, and it's only come out recently, but they've been releasing singles for a while. It's the new Landmarks album.
Hmm.
A
Oh yeah.
bit more on the hardcore end of things, and they like to put in kind of hip hoppy stuff and less heavy things as well. But like, just the songs go so hard on it, and it's the first time they've released an album since I've gotten to start liking them. So it's the first time I've been excited, waiting for them to put something out. And when they did, they didn't disappoint me. So I've been very happy with that.
Nice. I'm gonna go with the new Whitechapel one. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
It
And
is.
that was going to be up there for me as well.
yeah,
So
yeah, and it's also the only album that I can think of off the top of my head of 2025 that I've actually listened to in its entirety.
I've before we started chatting and stuff, I started listening to the new Ghost album. Love him or hate him. I think it's pretty solid so far. I'm about halfway through it.
Nice. Yeah, I've never like properly listened to him, but I've heard bits and pieces, and I'm like, yeah, they sound cool.
there's aspects of them. I saw them live when they supported Metallica out in Slane, and they put on an absolutely fantastic show. I can see why people like them a lot. The vocals at times aren't always my bag, but I can appreciate it. Like, there is a reason that they're as big as they've become in recent times.
Yeah, my mom's a big fan of them. Like we saw them as well when they opened for Metallica at Slane, and then they came back doing their own headline show in November at the Free Arena, and we went to go see that as well. And afterwards, my mom was like, they should enter for Sweden for the Eurovision.
Do you know what? That would go down. Like, they might be too successful to be allowed, but just the idea of that, you have some like kitschy pop thing followed immediately by the goth pope. Perfect.
I mean, they'd be an automatic win. Oh God. And we're on to our last question. Do you have any advice for anyone wanting to start a band in 2025?
Oh,
Hmm.
I'm asking the hard hitting questions tonight.
Yeah,
Mm.
like I definitely do, but
one thing I'd say, because as a person, I work as a sound engineer in Cork doing stuff in Fred Zeppelin's, and I see like a lot of younger people coming through there. Before, whether you're going to starting the band already, whether you're trying to get yourself ready to start getting on to people about it, be prepared, practice a lot first, because I feel like a lot of people might jump into it and they'll have the fun, and then they'll go to do it and they'll play with other bands, and they kind of get this, not even like a kick in the teeth, but this realization of like how much goes into being in a band sometimes. So just putting in that effort and just kind of like learning as much as you can, working on it. You don't need to be some like god at shredding or a vocalist that can do everything or whatever, but just being ready, practicing, being as good as you can be in that moment. You'll still learn so much just from going out and being in a band anyway, but it'll give you the best leg up to kind of get yourself ready.
yeah. Um, I would say like this wouldn't have too much now to do with like, the musical aspect of it, but I would say like learn as much etiquette as you can early on. Like I'm still not, I still haven't like, this is my first band as well, so I'm not overly experienced in that. I'm learning as I go. But like I've even watched some videos back in the day, like, of tips for being in bands, and a lot of it was etiquette, how you treat like the people around you in the industry, thanking those who help you, like the sound engineer, and just being grand, helping other bands out if they get in us if something goes wrong and they need a hand with something, just treat people well and know when to like, I don't even know. But yeah, like just learn a lot of the etiquette and stuff like that that goes into it because it'll save you a lot of like conflict and unnecessary drama and all that in the long run.
Like my biggest pet peeve, you bring up etiquette, is like, in bands and stuff, like, if you just pack up your stuff and run. Like I understand if you like have a bus to catch or something like that. But
Yeah.
if you just like cut and run after your set, it's just like,
Yeah, it's yeah, just it yeah, not the best not
yeah,
the best
like
way to go.
no, just like at least stick around for maybe like 15, 20 minutes after.
Yeah. Or like interact with a few people at the very least.
Literally, or just like, if people come up to you and be like, "Oh, I love this set," like just say like, "Oh, thanks, I have to pack up," kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if you do have to go for whatever reason, like Joe, there's a nice way to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of just like running and not saying anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Luca, anything to add?
Well, my advice would be quite obvious, but if you want to start a band, start it, do things well, and don't give up, because that's the hardest part, I guess. When when you're being a musician for a few years, maybe you don't feel like doing it no more, and you don't need to give up. If you're having fun with it, keep having fun, continue with that, and remember why you started it. Maybe that will give you the fuel to continue.
Yeah, and Mark, you mentioned it was like your first ever band. Have you ever felt like, oh, maybe this is a bit too hard or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm still struggling with vocals today. I've been doing it like 12 years now and I'm still trying to get consistencies and everything down. And I've always kind of thought like once I hit like my mid 20s, I started thinking like, am I even if I got good at it right now, am I past my prime? Like, is it too late for me to start a band and get into this kind of thing? No, is the answer.
I
Yeah.
Don't.
mean, some like when joined this band, I had already been playing for 10, 11 years as a bassist, but I'd never gone into something this heavy or this extreme. Extreme, I'd been in maybe like death metal bands when I was younger, but like I'd gone away from that and played in like rock bands and like lighter metal bands. Went into this being like, I'm a good bassist, I know what I'm doing. No, I did not. I was kind of like, oh, I was not ready for this in the slightest. But it was still a good thing to do because, like, if you do have the opportunity, don't be afraid to try different things, even if you're not sure how it's going to go. Because, worst case scenario, you find out it's not for you or whatever, and that's grand. Now you know, and there's no questioning. But if it does work out, you can broaden your repertoire. You'd be able to do so many different things and then you can bring some of those things across to other bits and pieces you do and cross pollinate and all of that stuff.
Exactly, and it's kind of the same. Even when I first got offered to join, I was like, I don't know if I'm actually ready. But then I was like, when will you be? If you don't do it now, when will you be? Like, so just jump into it, see what happens. If it doesn't work, at least you tried. But if it does, I mean, here we are.
Jump in feet first and have fun. Those are the takeaways for it.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And it seems to be going really well, so I'm
It
glad I did.
is. It is, and I can't wait to see, what other stuff you guys do, what other singles you drop during the year. It's going to be epic.
Oh yeah,
We're
absolutely.
still cooking.
And we're still cooking. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evenings to talk with me.
Thank you
No
very
bother.
much for having us, Letty.
No
Yeah,
Thank
thank
worries
you,
you.
at
Michael.
all. And Rinse and Repeat is out now.